we are back, and this is a special outside edition.
We outside.
We outside. We outside. We have the wonderful FLENOIDS with us. We call it Noid Nation. We're gonna welcome them to the Straight Up Podcast.
Hey, you guys. Thank you.
We happen to be actually in their backyard, but it's more than a backyard. It's an experience. It's a whole vibe.
It's a vibe.
And so, Greg, give us the name of the backyard before we get started. What is this called?
The name of our backyard, we call it the FLENOID Fusion.
The FLENOID Fusion. So we're gonna have some shots of the FLENOID Fusion, but we're also gonna experience Friday Night Lights in the FLENOID Fusion, and we're gonna have a great experience. But before we do that, we wanted to just sit down, and y'all know we talk all things creative. So we want to sit down and talk to two of the most creative people that I know, Dre. They are creative to the point where this whole backyard is transformed to a whole atmosphere. And so we are here just talking up straight, all things straight up creative. So welcome to the Straight Up Podcast.
Thank you.
Mick.
First,
Glad to be here.
yes, let me just say how proud I am of y'all because they're my cousins.
Yeah.
Shameless plug. They're my cousins, and so I am so proud to see all that God has done and is doing in your lives creatively and as a married couple, as just a power couple, recently elevated in ministry, just all things. And so we just kind of wanted to come and talk to y'all
How long
today.
y'all been married?
How long y'all been married?
20 years.
20 years? They don't even look old enough to be married 20 years. They had to get married as
I had
kids.
to come to the mic. 20 years.
Proud of them 20 years.
Yes.
Yeah, real wonderful, graceful, years. An experience, rather.
Right.
You know.
I love coming over here because I never leave from over here without being inspired.
I
It
appreciate it.
ain't nothing that I feel you guys can't do. You know what I'm saying? Like every time I come over here, I leave here like, man, we gotta do something. You
It's
gotta
like-
do something together. And so it's awesome to be here with them today doing this podcast, man.
And it feels
I love
good,
it.
too.
Yeah, it
That's
feels
the
good outside.
unintentional goal.
Yes. To leave, for people to leave inspired, I love that.
Yeah.
Especially get their creative juices flowing. Like we come over here, and every time we come over here, like Dre said, leaving inspired, but we have a conversation all the way home about
Yeah.
just like what new we discovered about
Yeah,
them, like,
yeah.
or what new we discovered in the
Yeah,
yard. Like one
yeah.
time I came, the treehouse was totally different. Like
Yeah.
it was just so,
Yeah.
and then the inside of their home is beautiful, and they've been able to recreate so many things. And that's just the beautiful thing about God is when we find our gifting in Him and those things. We're gonna talk more about that, like what creativity is for you all, but you all definitely inspire other people. And that's a gift in and of itself. It's for people to be able to be inspired by you all.
What inspired you guys? How did all this happen? Talk to us a little bit about that. Like one thing me and my wife talk about all the time is like working together, coming on one accord, working together, and then building something. Like you guys got Noid Nation. That comes by coming on one accord with each other. How does it? How all that happen? How did it transpire?
I'll let you go first.
Well, when we first hooked up, we want to say back in 2016, I started doing home remodeling after cooking for 20 some years.
Yeah.
So I transitioned over to
And he
want to
cooked.
do something
A
different.
chef.
And in the midst of we starting our own company, my wife was actually working with us, where she did painting, and we had other co-workers, and I had other employees who did other things. But that part of working together was kind of like our first time really
It was our
starting
first experience.
of working together, which, we had a lot of ups and downs where you have the boss and an employee,
Yeah,
where,
yeah.
you had those things, but then you got to the point where the wife wasn't so much an employee, but more of a assistant
Yeah.
to everything. So I transitioned from that thought pattern of putting her in a position to know how to be a supervisor and to be a boss, but yet you're also showing by leading.
Let's start right there because that's real good. You said something so profound because the opportunity there for marriages to see like the help me.
Yeah.
Right there, I can't remember what I was listening to. I think I brought it to Dre years ago, where it was like when God created man, right? He saw that there was a need, and He said, "I'm gonna create him a helper, right, from his rib." And So when I was recently, I think it was at a women's conference, and they were basically like, you know, if there's a need in the husband, like you the answer,
the answer.
like you're the answer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
even when you said that, like moving from a worker to your help, like she's there to assist, to help, to push that vision and push that goal. That's one thing that I love. That if my husband says something, God automatically starts turning my wheels. How do we get this done? Because that's the help me. That's the being able to be that help me.
As a man, like for me, I needed help to realize that. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I would talk to God, and I'd be like, all right, God, you told me that you were going to give me Aaron to assist me. And never once was I thinking like that's my wife until it was pointed out. And then like that aha moment come like, oh my God. I've been trying to get help, and the help is already
Already
sleeping
there.
with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm sleeping with that help. And so now, like, I had to switch, like how, God, do I make that work? How do we coexist
It was
as
hard.
one?
It was
So
hard.
if I can jump in there, so like Greg mentioned, he did start off cooking. I couldn't help in that area.
And he's a good chef. Oh, that man can cook.
That was not my area. However, when Greg discovered the talent he had as far as building, and when he really started tapping into that, that's when I'm like, okay, I can get in there. I can find me a spot in there. Not in the kitchen, but I can find me something out there as far as building. And Greg would say, I wouldn't say it was my idea, but God dropped it in my spirit to ask him, hey, do you want to cook all
For the
your
rest of
life?
your life.
For the rest of your life.
And
that is kind of like where everything
Catalyst. Wow.
changed.
Before you say something great, were you looking for moments or a place to fit in, to come closer with him and what he was doing? Were you looking for that space?
At that moment, I was not. However, I was looking for more time with him. I was looking for him to be able to be at home, spending time with family, versus cooking in the schedule at night. You know, he was working night schedule. So God created that atmosphere where, and the opportunities where we was able to build something together.
And that's awesome, because when you're looking for something like that, you have to be mindful, because now you're asking for more time, right? And so how to manage that and still find love and still find opportunities to, balance it with work and intimacy and family and all the things, because now you got all of it together, and it can come together and be like one big thing, but you still want, to have boundaries and have it set to where you're able to prioritize one over the other.
We had to learn where to put those commas.
Yeah,
right.
that's
And I want to piggyback on what she said on that aspect of her asking me, is that all you want to do? We probably were in our marriage 5 years, maybe
Like
6 years. And that's all I wanted to do at the moment. I was selfish still. I went from getting married at 23, coming straight out, being all about me, to jumping in, trying to support and a son on the way. And so my goal was to be the best chef, to be the best cook in the world. But in that position became threatened, where it didn't matter how long you was in the field no more. It was all about paper. So with me being in the field 20-some years, and that question in the back of my head, this all you want to do? No, it's not now. Because now I am being challenged to, if I'm going to stay in this field, I need to go to school, get out my paper to be the best chef. At the same hand, I know that there are other jobs where I can make more than a chef make. So I took a little bit of that, mentality with the new people that started bringing in my competition. I forfeited my lead cook position and went to school to be an electrician.
Wow.
And
I'm sorry, if I
Okay.
can jump in there. To me, my viewpoint, I think and believe Greg got to the point where he reached his cap in the kitchen, and it was, and it started to turn into frustration and other things. So it was time for us to pivot.
And a lot of times the wife can see it, or the other spouse, the person on the outside, can see it more than the other person.
Right.
A lot of times God will let something be that you have passion for be uncomfortable and start getting uncomfortable.
You
Yeah.
never
Just
saw
trying to
his
move
step
you
outside the
to
kitchen.
another
I never
level.
did. Never.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you didn't know at the time, like all this was coming. You
You
just
know-
was trying to be the best at what you were doing.
It's weird that you say that because I actually just see that vision. The last house, well, before we got to this point, we lost our house. We gave it up because we knew we couldn't afford it. But before we lost it, you know, when we had that house, we were good stewards of rental property. Right? So my first home remodeling was on a rental property that the owner bought all the materials for.
And
And he allowed me to do it
Wow.
so we wouldn't move. We paid our rent on time, like we were good tenants. And the fact is, we went to him and was like, you know, we couldn't do it. And at that point, we were like, what do we do next? You know, and I was just starting school. She started school to be an interior designer, and got to the point where we still now struggling to make bills because now we're trying to go to school to make the best of ourselves.
Process.
It's a
And-
process.
Yeah.
It was a conversation we had. I said, okay, babe, we're both going to go to school, but let's focus on which one of us go to school.
Yeah.
I say, let me go to school first. Let me finish up this electrical. I'm going to get it and run with it. Then we'll go back and let you pick up where you left off. And so that time will come when she's ready to go back. But I thank her for really giving me that little kick,
Yeah.
you know, because I was comfortable, you know, and where I was at with cooking.
That's
You know,
good.
I'm like, as long as the kids, you know, everybody good, you know.
Yeah.
But I didn't see myself.
Right.
But she did.
Yeah. And
You
God
know.
did. And that's the beauty about God. Like, he'll send those aha moments sometimes the least way we expect
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
The least way, the least thing from our mind, the furthest thing. We're okay doing whatever we're doing. And he's like, I got so
As
much
long as
more and
comfortable.
so much greater.
Yeah.
And so that's just the beauty of God.
And I was comfortable in
Yeah,
it.
yeah. And
He don't want us comfortable.
No.
as a man, like we have so much pride. You know what
Man.
I'm saying? And sometimes if we don't come up with the idea, we
Yeah,
reject
yeah,
the
yeah.
idea. You know what I'm saying? And
Guilty.
I tell you,
Guilty.
I tell you, like, especially like during the pandemic, me and my wife got to learn each other even more, right? And I learned to hear the voice of God through her.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Because a lot of times, I had been in ministry almost 16, 17 years.
Okay.
Right? You know, you get to a place where you're like, I know God. I know that ain't what he's saying. And as a man, I gotta lead. But understanding like the role of, like, he didn't call me to dictate to her.
Exactly.
He called me to become one with her.
Yeah.
And lead as one. You know what I'm saying? Knowing that I'm gonna get the stern talking to from it,
Right.
but I still gotta be able to hear the voice of God through her. You see what I'm saying? And
Right.
so dropping that pride, because as a man, you like, well, you get to a point where like we built this. You want to always have that we in there.
Always.
And we got a tendency as man to say I instead of we, and then we negate the feelings of our
True.
wife, and then she goes by like, and don't tell them when she's talking under her breath, but she
Yeah.
we did that.
Like-
And so now I'm
Yeah.
at a place now with me and my wife, like this is a we thing,
Yeah.
not a me thing.
Yeah.
And so watching other couples come together and become one through like God's vision for their
Yeah.
family,
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's
Right
a
on.
beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm gonna let Greg speak, and then I really want to pivot to, because we've talked about how you all became one in, building and in workforce and things like that. But I really want to find out when individually did you all realize that creativeness in you? Like, when did that God moment for you in creativity, spark? So I'll let that muster. Right, Greg, you had
Okay.
a thought you wanted to finish.
Oh, I did, but I think it kind of like got.
Gotta wait for
Yeah, got away from it.
Okay.
Once you started
If you
talking, but
come
I'll
back-
come back to it.
If we come back to it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go
I did.
ahead.
So with what you said about the we part,
Mm-hmm.
we want to, and I want to say this because my wife here is very creative.
Yeah.
Yes.
she would come up out of the box with an idea,
Mm-hmm.
but it'd be the idea.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
I'm finna sit there and,
Got
all right,
it.
you need this, you
Yeah.
need this. And I go back to her with it, like, well, I didn't want to do it. I gave it to you, but this your idea, you know.
Yeah.
So, and I thank her all the time, even to where I got to this point. Where she was like, you be so hard, you be so, I said, well, babe, this is your idea. This is the guy you wanted to see, the more business-oriented, but yet fun-loving husband, you know, because I was too, with my upbringing, that's what I wanted to say. With my upbringing, there wasn't too much of God, you know, and coming up and trying to, it was always me
Right.
and I,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
It took me a while to learn we and us
Yeah, that's good.
through her.
Right. Love.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the point
That's
I wanted
good.
to make.
No, that's
But yeah.
good because I mean, when it says two becoming one, that part,
Sounds
because
Yeah.
them two people have two different upbringings. They're raised differently, more than likely. Their thought patterns are different, and so it is becoming, meaning continual. It does
Still
not
becoming.
stop. We still are becoming
Yeah.
one. And that's one with the Father. And so as long as we continue to have that that threefold cord that's not so broken, like we can
Right.
come back,
Right.
come back to the middle, because we're gonna have those. I was riding just yesterday, and this is kind of a little bit to what you're saying, but a little off, because I don't know why Independent came in my head, Lil Weaned. But I used to be one of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think I was driving, I said, and I said it out loud tomorrow. I was like, Mom, why did you say that? I said, being able to do things good
Yeah.
and be so good at things sometimes gets you to the point where people like, why do you even need help? But it's because you've adopted that mentality of INDE, because you always grab and
You know
go.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're always doing it yourself. So
Yeah.
it is that thing of becoming one by relinquishing some of those things
Yeah.
that aren't even
Okay.
for you to carry.
Exactly.
It's for you all to do it together. You're burning yourself out. You're
My
stressed
life
out.
is
You're
not
doing
my
that. Yeah,
own.
like you don't have to do it. So speaking of being two people that become one individually, like when Chelsea did you discover that you were creative? And that might not be the word for you, but where did you know there was something different? Like
One, as far as my creativity, my schoolwork I did, art projects I did at school.
Okay.
I would do drawings or paintings, and my dad would go pay and get it framed. And I'm like, this is nothing. Like, why are you paying for this to get framed? When I say just doing the hues of brown and white, he would go and get that framed. Like,
wow.
Cultivate.
he was sowing a seed that I didn't know he was
Yes,
sowing.
I love it.
After that, I would say when I went to school for interior design, I went thinking, I went for one purpose and came out with something totally different in a sense.
Okay.
I went for interior design, however, it shined a light on my craft of drawing and painting, something that I really never tapped into. So with me getting the guidance and understanding some of the language as far as art, that really pushed me, and then that just carried me on to something much bigger.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as the aha moment, I believe I got that when I went to school at the age of 30, 31.
Okay.
That's when I had that aha moment, like, I really got something. I really
Yeah.
have a talent for me to be proud of.
I love
Yeah.
it. I love that. And I know for us growing up, you do have I'll go back to just being a kid, just even dressing up. I remember we dressed up for Halloween. You would definitely have some of the most creative, or we was at Laura's house decorating the porch, some of those moments
Yeah.
you don't even realize as a kid.
Yes.
Those
Yeah.
are moments, but if there was a small seed, like you said, planted even by your dad,
Yeah.
framing that thing, we are big on parents cultivating their kids in their gifting,
Yes.
because those are the first people that normally catch it.
Yes.
The first people that normally see it.
Yes.
And so that's awesome. And even though you didn't mention it, even the creativity, being able to be a hairstylist, cosmetologist, that is an art in and of itself.
So the art, that was just one. I can go to arts and crafts. I can
Yes.
go to floral.
Yes.
My mom and Aunt Eddie, they
Yes.
sowed that seed as far as being crafty.
Yes,
so,
crafty.
yeah.
I love it. I love it. All right, how about you, Greg?
Mine go back to me being a kid,
Okay.
living in Louisiana. Taking my stepfather hammer and nails and going in the backyard and building a clubhouse.
Wow.
It get tore down by the end of the day, but the next day I rebuild again.
He's very adamant.
It became so emotional where I got in trouble for building clubhouse. So I used to take old boards off vacant buildings, take them home, 2x4, and frame them up. And when we started here, that's when it got emotional. And Chelsea's like, you keep building. I say, because can't nobody tell me no. It was my stepfather who kept tearing things down. Like, I took a little stereo part. You remember the long record players? We lift the lid up. So I'd have speaker wires running by there with 6x9s in the corners of the wall off my 8-track player and my record player.
There's a wall here that looks
So-
like a trunk.
Similar. And you know, so as a little kid, it's like I got in trouble for taking things apart because I couldn't put them back together. So I always found comforting when I used to just build clubhouses, like, and would never stop. And no matter how many times they tore it down, the third time they never tore it down because I built it strong enough to not be torn down.
Come on,
Wow.
come on. And that goes back to what you were saying, baby, when you were saying as parents,
Yeah.
you got to recognize
You gotta recognize.
your
Exactly.
kids and cultivate that thing.
Yeah.
Because then you'll grow up resenting stuff.
Yeah.
And then like Greg now, you could be building out of anger, like, you know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Like,
He's an emotional builder.
right.
Yeah.
Now,
He really is.
That's true. I'm slightly getting emotional, but I'm good because
yeah,
no, like that's touchy though.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it really is because
that was your third.
like I should tell Chelsea like this backyard tells a story. I'm sorry, I don't know what you mean. But yeah, it tells a story of our creativity.
Yeah.
You know, from emotion, happiness, sad, pointing anything. I'll tell you what's the story behind it.
Yeah.
So
That's so cool when you say, you know, you were building out of emotion. And unfortunately, those moments where you're a stepfather, I believe God is weaved all throughout our lives. There's purpose and destiny all throughout our lives. But I also wonder what if that had been cultivated early, like. Because sometimes it takes us a longer time to get there. Like for you to
Right.
think back and say, that was my moment that I knew something was different about me and I was creative, but still to reject that all through life and just do something else, to now come back into
and
the
do it.
fullness of it. And we don't believe it's coincidence, all in God, and so we can learn so much in life lessons.
Yeah.
But I just wonder,
I know.
like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness.
Can I, before he
Go ahead.
answers,
go ahead.
to give your true answer, I believe he probably would have pimped out
Yeah.
his gift.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's another
He's
story.
smart.
God is so
smart.
much
He
smarter.
would have
Yeah.
abused it, not to.
No. You're right. You're
When
right.
Greg was talking about the whole thing, and then my wife was just saying, like, I wonder. All I could think about is like all things working together.
Yeah, that's what I was getting
because
to.
although it's emotional that he thinks about his stepfather, it also drove him.
That's why I say God
Push
is
him.
weaved
Like
through
that's
there.
the
Yeah.
hammer to the nail,
Yeah.
the driving force that you use. Like I
Nothing is
use-
wasted.
Yeah, he
at
don't
all.
use.
And we don't waste to
anything.
go through. That's what we
Why you gonna
Right.
Why you gonna waste to go through? We don't believe in that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
That's so awesome. And so, speaking of, because we'll get some footage of this wonderful palace back here. This was part of the creativity that came once you all got your home and decided. And Greg, whether you built, everything has a story. You built it out of emotion. We personally want to thank you for at least allowing us to come into your space. Like spaces like this, you know, have very, you know, hopeful meanings and very important meanings and very purposeful meanings. And so even allowing the Straight Up podcast to come and set up in your backyard and even open it up to Friday Night Lights is such a blessing. It's such a blessing to be able to share. So before we go, we definitely want to talk more about what you all, one, have coming up, and then two, if people want to utilize your space, you're not opening it up just for the podcast. You're now exploring business ventures as it
Yes.
pertains into your backyard.
Yes.
Yes. Go ahead.
Oh,
Greg.
so now, what do you want? Let me start. Hold on. So many questions.
That's okay.
So, I want to go back to what I want to cap on something. When we first created this space, we didn't really know why we were building.
Yeah.
We were just building, and Chelsea say, "Why do you keep building?" I say, "You'll see." I say, "I think people are going to want to gather back here and have fun." And I say, "We want to build it not for us just to
Not just
enjoy,
us, yeah.
but we want people to come back here and ask, like, hey, can we hang out back here?" And coincidentally, somebody came and asked, and I said, "Baby, is you all right? Can we get the green light to do this?"
Normally, I would say no,
No.
with one pride, one,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Not seeing the bigger picture of what
Right.
God is
Because
doing.
I want to put a pin there. There was a point where you all were like kind of hosting like movie nights though, right? Like it was, or you at least had like, you would go set up your screen somewhere or.
We did it a few places. Yeah, we
Yeah,
did it
we
in front of
did.
our house for Lil Greg's high school graduation 3 years ago, 2020.
We also did a church function where we
Yeah.
went and set up
And at some apartments, I remember y'all being there.
at Angie.
Angie
Yeah,
Mill.
we had movie
And
night there.
we did it
Night.
on North County.
So y'all
Cause
y'all
Yeah,
already,
so-
y'all
so
already.
we didn't
were-
know.
It was I just
Unintentionally.
want to bring highlights to it.
Unintentionally.
It was coming up. It was coming
Unintentionally.
around full on.
Like, we are unintentionally low-key private people. But God is really shining a light on
He
us
is.
to the point where
He
we
wants
can
the
no
glory out
longer
of our
hide.
lives.
We can no
Yeah.
longer hide. And God has been the driving force and the hammer behind everything you see around you. You know, I give God the glory and the credit for everything, you know, and I thank God for the wonderful woman.
And just the whole story, one, how we got the house, when the real estate lady brought us by, she knew, she was like, I already know this is a blank canvas for you all. She had a vision, she had, she believed in us and our talents and everything. So I thank God because he gave us literally
A
a
blank
blank
canvas.
canvas.
When she gave us the keys to open up the door, I said, "We'll take it." She said, "You haven't been in it yet."
What does that feel like as a creative to get a blank canvas?
get a blank
It's-
canvas.
Oh my God, I can only imagine.
Butterflies.
Sometimes it's
Butterflies.
intimidating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah, it's scary. The success in things is scary sometimes. One, when you're not used to light being shone on you.
Yeah,
You know,
I think that was
that's
the
one
biggest
thing,
thing.
yeah.
Like we go day to day with our life, just being us.
Yeah.
We never know. People are watching us. People see how we're moving, which may give us more caution on how we move. You know, we don't want the wrong attention. You know, but anything where people see that we could be a benefit, a help, a helping hand.
I think that's the beauty of God, like, especially when you're lowly in spirit and meek and humble in heart. It's just, he can get the glory out of those type of people. So that's the reality of, you know, when you're walking in true humility.
Humility.
Right? And then allowing God to really take over, you lose the pride. You
Yeah.
surrender all the what ifs, all of the it's got to be pitch perfect. It's got to be
Yes, all
like
of that.
none of that even matters because God, I want you to get glory. So when
Amen.
we're in it to please the audience of one, he definitely does that.
Yeah.
Definitely got to get to a place where you don't fear being watched.
Exactly. Exactly.
You don't fear being watched. And that's when all this is just it's my lifestyle.
It's like
It's
is
my
what
life.
it is.
It's my life.
Because we didn't. I'm gonna be honest with you. And I think if you go back and listen to some of the earlier podcasts, we talk about we are pushers, and we was okay being in the background, pushing people to their better selves, or you know what God wants to do, and them speaking over their lives, telling them what they're gonna do, and you know all these things. And God was like, okay, and then what about y'all? Like I still
Right.
got more to do in
Right.
and through y'all, and so it was that yielding and that surrendering that I really think bring a whole package. In the fullness of letting God and surrendering to God.
Yes.
All right, so as we get ready to close up and wrap up this podcast, again, how can they get in touch with you all for their space that they're going to see in some still shots?
Okay, you can, right now we don't have a website yet, but we do have a Facebook page called the FLENOID Fusion, and my personal number is on there
Okay.
that you can reach. There is also an email where they could ask for any questions for booking and see what we have available. Right now, the space is available, but the kitchen will be coming soon.
All right. We love it. All right, and before we go, we always ask our guests, what's next? What's next for Noid Nation? What's next
Okay.
for Noid Fusion? What's next
I'll
for you
tell
all?
you what we've been working on. We got two things we want to work on, and we appreciate this platform
Yeah.
to announce it.
Yeah.
The backyard that you see, we want to create it for you. For those who have a blank backyard,
Wow.
we want to, and we're calling that business the under construction.
I love it.
And we'll come in and turn your blank backyard into whatever oasis you wanted. Garage is not included. Just want to make sure people know that. But besides creating your backyard, we're thinking about building dog houses.
Love it.
And it's going to be called maxed out dog houses, where we're going to build them from single story to 3-story,
Love it.
indoor or outdoor.
Love it.
So yeah, that's just the surface.
That's,
what we
y'all
got
just
coming.
scratching the surface.
Yeah, that was just two things.
Right,
Next,
not only-
we're working on getting some space where we can.
Where eventually
Event space
we will
where-
have the
I don't
building
know. We'll
Speak
call
it,
it right.
to create
Speak
this
it.
same
Uh-huh.
feel
Speaking
that you
things
that
today.
the
Yeah.
same feeling you will
Speaking
feel at
things.
our home
Yeah, I love
when we
it.
invite you.
I love it.
When we get that space away from home, we're gonna have that same feeling within that building.
That's good.
And
So
not
like
just for
that name.
ourselves, for
Yeah.
Space away
it's for
from home.
everybody.
Oh, that's good.
Hey,
Yeah, you better.
that wasn't no name.
Now you
yet,
better
but
go.
hey.
You better go LLC that
Yeah.
today because somebody might
Patent
watch
pending.
this.
Patent pending.
Creating
Put
it.
it out there.
Yeah.
Patent pending. Oh, and also you all are homeowners, so you all you have property.
Yes.
So yes, that's another thing.
We do
y'all
have-
got y'all hands in a little bit of
Yeah,
everything.
we do
I
have
love
one rental property so far, and we're looking to have more.
it. Yeah, that's good.
You know, I need at least 100 before I die.
I know that's
It's
Um,
crazy. Sometimes we sit back and
And forget realizing, like, hold on,
we have
we have
other
rental property.
Yes.
So,
I'm so
yeah.
lucky.
it feels different. It's a new season, you know, but
Okay, do y'all want to shout out Noid Nation? Who's a part of Noid Nation? Like, give us the lineup. Y'all got a whole lineup in the house. What's the kids like?
We got Greg here. Mom. We have Greg the third. We call him Little Greg. We have Malik. We have Gabrielle. We
She's our
also
seamstress.
have right. Let's not tap into the talent of our kids.
our
That'll
children.
be
Keep
another.
cultivating.
That'll
That's
be
a whole
another
nother
Next
podcast.
episode.
The next episode. Because keep cultivating them
Yes,
kids.
and then we have Markel, the artist.
the artist, he
yeah.
takes from both of us, I believe.
Yeah.
Naturally, his mom with figurines, like he just out of the box drawing, freestyle
Love
with it,
it.
you know.
Love it. Y'all can't leave out the fur babies.
Oh, we
We
got
have Max.
we have Max, who's our 4-year veteran.
Yeah.
That's,
then-
is that what the doghouse are named after?
Yes,
Maxed
it's
out,
the
maxed
inspiration
out,
of
yes.
Maxed Out.
Maxed out doghouse.
And Rocky is the new addition,
Yeah.
Love
where
Rocky.
he's coming claiming his territory already. So
Yeah.
we love it, you know. So we're a full house. We're a full house.
Max want his royalties
Yeah.
That's
You are
right.
honest,
Yeah.
Rocky.
too.
Well, we thank y'all so much
Thank
for allowing the
you.
podcast to come and set up. And Greg, believe it or not, helped us get these mics together for this
Yeah.
for this shot. He went straight into grabbing drills, helping our man Jay out, set it all up. So we appreciate you again opening up for us to be straight up in y'all backyard and have a straight up podcast.
And I do want to add, you guys are more than welcome to come again if you got other guests. We don't have to always be the guests now. If you want just a
Doors
different
open.
scenery, you got another outdoor backdrop,
Yeah.
you know, to help you out to whatever seed
Man,
we want to
God
help you
is
guys.
good.
So,
God is
God is
good.
good.
You know.
We want to definitely send a shout out to Jason and his daughter.
Jason and his daughter shooting a shot for us,
shooting
Raven.
for us, man.
We
That's
appreciate y'all.
beautiful,
We got
man.
a beautiful straight up team that
Yes,
continues to
family.
support us, a straight up family.
Yeah.
And we thank you all again for being straight up live with us on
We outside.
We Outside.
We outside.
The straight up outside edition.
Yeah.
I gotta give a shout out to Brittany for Faith Walker Apparel. Can't shoot this shot without saying go visit faithwalker.com, faith-walker.com. Get your apparel there. We are so proud of you, Illinois Nation. Proud of you, Chelsea. Proud of you, Greg.
thank you.
Proud of you all so much. We will have shots of their backyard, so stay tuned for those shots. As well as stay tuned for some footage from Friday Night Lights that is going to happen in the Noid Fusion.
Yeah.
Flenoids.
Flenoids.
Flenoid Fusion. Got it. Flenoid Fusion.
It's a
All
whole
right.
different vibe.
Whole different vibe. All right. Thanks, y'all, for joining us for the Straight Up Podcast.
Love
We're
you
talking
guys.
all things straight up.